According to the United Nations Population Division, in 2015, there were 1.2 billion youth in the world, ages 15 to 24. 226 million of this age group live in Africa, accounting for 19% of the global youth population. Unfortunately, youth continue to experience marked political exclusion and marginalisation when it comes to decision-making and policy implementation in their respective countries. It is rather unfortunate that the majority of youth are still entangled with the adage, "Youth are leaders of tomorrow," an adage that has been used by politicians to not only delay, but also deny youth involvement and engagement in the exercise of their political rights. On today's episode of the Osasu Show, we will focus on the importance of youth in building Africa and best practices Nigeria can implement from neighbouring countries that are engaging their youths. Stay tuned for these enlightening interviews. Mr. Blessing Agomary, thank you for joining us in today's program. So can you tell me what inspired you to run at such a young age?
You see, I can tell you that my inspiration is drawn from the fact that today the world economy is driven by young people. You see, in the area of we, younger Nigerians, I don't blame the elderly Nigerians. Because you know why I will not blame them? Most of the achievements they have today, they actually started it when they were younger, even younger than us. But the young people of today, we are not as courageous as they are. Because like Tinubu will say, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will say, power is not served a la carte. You can't just sit down in the room and expect somebody to prepare food and come and serve you on the bedroom. You have to come and ask for it. You know, and one thing is that I am being pushed by the vision I have for Edo State. I have seen what we can do. I have seen what the younger minds can do. If you go all over the world, the elderly, they only play the role because they have experience, because they have age, because they have wisdom. They play the role of advisory. While they allow young people who have the energies. I can take risks. The kind of risk I can take, the present governor of Edo State, and Oshomo, they cannot take the risk that I can take. You know, and the way I will pursue investment, he cannot pursue investment like that. I'm not insulting him. I'm only telling you what age can do to individuals. And the way I think is different from the way somebody who is 60 thinks. There was a man that went to me that I was telling him about bringing bullet trains to Edo State. He was laughing at me. You know what he said? He said, "Oh, my brother, the cars we have now are good. I remember in 1922, we used to trek from Auchi to Benin. So now you have vehicles. What do you want faster than that?" You cannot blame him. He thinks now that everything is good because in his time, he was wearing tattered clothes to school and to work. But today, he sees us younger ones doing better than they did, and they think all is fine. But most of us who've gone abroad, who've seen places, we know that we are still behind. So what we can do is quite different from what they can do, because the picture we see today is not the picture they see, because they still compare the picture of today to the picture of 1960, where there was no electricity in their houses, where they were reading with lamps.
So can you tell us why you're running for governor and what changes you hope to implement in the Edo?
One of my slogans again is, if I'm elected governor, we will turn Edo State into a mini Dubai. It's not just about me, it's not just about, it's about having this idea, having this program, having this project, and it's about bringing innovations to governance. You see, if we talk about tourism, we talk about culture, we talk about, you know, trade. Even in the time of Agbomere, Edo State thrived in trade. They thrived in tourism, they thrived in, you know, culture. Today, we have abandoned these things. Now we rush to go to Dubai. What is in Dubai? They really know much in Dubai. But Dubai, they've been able to identify their strengths. And they capitalize on it, built it, and today, people go to Dubai, spend so much money creating jobs, creating employment, creating profit for the country or for the state. Something like that is what we are planning to do for Edo State.
Our economy right now is hardly hit. So we're facing a huge, economic crisis. Some say we're in a recession. Some say we're leading ourselves to a depression. So how do you expect to create a mini Dubai with an economy like this?
You see, you first of all need to have a vision before you know how to pursue your vision. And if you have a vision, there are 1,001 investors around the world, or even within your community, that will invest in your vision. If we agree to say, okay, we want to turn Edo State into a tourist attraction, a tourist destination, Because we have so many artifacts in Benin. We have tourist destinations in Benin that have not been, activated. I remember the last time, during the Gbejo administration, they wanted to do something like a dam. Where, I know if that thing was done, I know the kind of resources were generated to Edo State or what were brought to Edo State, because if you make Edo State a tourist attraction, we can pride to say every month we can get like 1 million persons coming to Edo, to visit Edo, to stay in Edo, to enjoy our facilities. So what we need to do is to create an enabling environment, one, bring in infrastructures. And you can bring in infrastructures without even using so much of government resources. What you need to do is, okay, like in Benin, for instance, I'm not thinking about only Benin. I think about Benin, Isha, Igbanke, and Afamai. Now, in Benin, we have new areas. Go to around the bypass from Lagos to Warri. The land there, they are fallow. What government needs to do is to put infrastructure. You don't really need to put up buildings, but so long as you put infrastructure, there is drainages, there's light, and there's good road network, I'm telling you, investors on their own will come want to build. And because of the strategic location of Edo State has the center of the west, the north, the east, and the south. And today, that is why you see in Edo State, what thrives in Edo State more is transportation because of our location. So if transportation, almost everybody in Edo State is a transporter. Because if you want to make money in Edo State, the first business you go into is transportation. So if transportation is thriving in Edo State, and Edo State has two companies, they have one Edo line, they have another company that is in transportation, which means just imagine what will happen to Edo by the time we venture into tourism business. Most of the youth I've interacted with, they have this idea, they have this spirit, they have this thinking like I have. But most of them, because of the level of poverty in the country, they tend to think of how to feed themselves. Like somebody last week was asking me, where am I getting the money I'm spending? Because he believes that if he has a millionaire, he would rather want to do something personal with the money than investing it in any campaign. That is the level most of the youth think. Most of them, if they have 1 million, they cannot risk it to say they want an elected position, spend the money where they know they may win or they may lose. But some of us, we have gone beyond that. And I also think that that is not the fault of actually the youth, it's the fault of the elite. Because I also believe that in the Nigerian society, in the Edo society, there's a conspiracy the conspiracy among the elites to ensure that the poor remain poor, so that they, the rich, can continue to lead it over the poor. And I'm also how to break that conspiracy. So when most of us are given the opportunity, we are not going to steal. We are going to manage the resources we have earnestly for the development of our people. Because we know the meaning of public trust. We know the meaning of public office. Public office is not about you. The moment you step into a public office, you have decided to make sacrifice. Sacrifice in the sense that you are ready to die for your state. You are ready to die for your community. So I want to become the governor, not for any reason. One, I believe that I am coming to represent the constituency of the young people. I am coming to direct the young people in the right direction, because I believe that most of the young people are not on the right direction. They're the wrong direction. And our elites and the present people who lead our government, they don't think about that. Like the last time I said to President Muhammadu Buhari, you are doing well, we agree with you. But in your government, you must engage young people. The reason be this: if you say you have integrity, the only way you can prove to us that you are a better leader is to ensure that you multiply your integrity in other Nigerians. So that whatever you have done today, whatever legacy you leave behind, you will be rest assured that there are younger Nigerians who you have mentored, who will step into your shoes to sustain the legacies you have left behind. No matter what you do in Nigeria today, no matter what you do in Edo State today, if you fail to carry the young people along, if you fail to educate them, if you fail to train them, if you fail to make them believe in integrity, to make them believe in community work, community development, when you leave, whether you like it or not, government positions and tema positions, whether you like it or not, no matter how long you want to stay, you will leave. If you are leaving, who have you tutored? What are the thinkings and mentalities of the young people? Who will take over from you? So that is why the society, the family, the government, they have a responsibility to train their young ones, to educate their young ones, and now engage them. Engage them not just as PAs, not just as SAs. Engage them as directors. Engage them as ambassadors. I've seen countries' ambassadors that are 30, 20-something. But in Nigeria, any ambassador you see, whether he's 70, he's 60, a 70-year-old man, the painful aspect of it, you see a 70-year-old Nigerian ambassador discussing development issues with a 30-year-old American, Briton. Or what do you think they have to offer? When they are discussing the stories of Methuselah, the young people are discussing modern development. They can never meet, and that is why Nigeria is where we are.
Lastly, Mr. Agbomere, what are your final words to
a vote for me, Blessing Agomary, is a vote for the engagement of every youth in this country. Because if I am voted as governor, as a youth, don't forget, I'm going to appoint youths as my commissioners. Which means a vote for me as a young Nigerian, as a man under 40, as a man that is 37 years of age, is a vote for the SSG of Edo State to become a youth. I have this belief that young people will do better in governance. Because we don't really need much to thrive. We don't really need much to work. You know, so I solely believe in any economy that must work, must engage young people. See, let me tell you something. If you don't engage the hands of the youths in positive things, they will engage themselves in negative things and destroy the nation. So that is why it is a necessity, it's a compulsion. It has become my demand and it has become my mission to ensure that young people are engaged. And as an example, I am contesting the governorship of Edo State. And I know so many youths across the country will follow my path. They begin to realize that it is doable. They begin to realize that it's something that is very easy. I'm going to become the next governor of Edo State. And I see it, and it's already a done deal. It's a very easy job. No matter what some people think, I think I'm already, by grace of God, I'll be the governor of Edo State. I have already been appointed, I have already been ordained by God, I have already been certified to become the governor of Edo State because God wants to prove a point to the people of Edo State and Nigeria. And God wants to start. What God did in Kogi State is a miniature of what God wants to replicate in Edo State. So Edo State, I know most of them already await my arrival and my swearing as the governor of Edo State. And there's nobody that can stop it. There's no godfather that can stop it. Because I believe in God and God is my godfather. And God is the maker of men. You know? So I'm not scared, I'm not afraid because you see, sometimes God looks at the heart of men. If I'm going there to steal or because I'm going there to do what the former leaders we had in this country have been doing, God should not allow me to get there. But if God knows that I'm going there because I want to engage young people, I want to transform the state into a mini Dubai, God will give me the resources, God will give me the strength, God will give me power to become the governor of the state.
Thank you so much, Mr. Agbomere, for your time. Welcome back to the Osasu Show. Before we went on break, we spoke with a young gubernatorial aspirant from Edo State running under the platform of the All Progressive Congress, Mr. Blessing Agomary, about youth inclusion in governance and changes he will implement if he becomes governor. Now we will speak with Kenya's permanent representative to the United Nations, who also happens to be the youngest person in Africa to be appointed to Parliament. Take a look. So you're one of the youngest East African parliamentarians. So can you tell us more about your experience and how your experiences led you to this role?
Well, to start with, I actually ran for office, a national office, elective office for Parliament in Nairobi, where I lost very badly, I might say. And I was beaten up, beaten in the polls and beaten up physically. Oh, wow. And hospitalized because the election ground at that time was very hard, and especially for a young woman without thugs and the experience, you know, in the city. That has changed quite a bit. Later on, I was nominated to the East African Parliament that sits in Arusha. I was 22 years old, making me easily the youngest at that time. I'm hoping nominations are coming next year that we'll lobby to have another young person, perhaps much younger than I was then, to get into the East African Parliament. It was an exciting time. The current speaker now also served with me at that time, He's 35 years old, the Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly, Honorable Dan Kidega from Uganda. So it was not just a Kenyan thing. It was a regional push to have young people within. I then left the East African Parliament and became ambassador and Palm Rep of Kenya to Ethiopia and the African Union. I was 24 years. Again, the youngest in the region. I think I still am the youngest serving ambassador in Africa. I'm now 33. Hopefully other countries will see what I've done for the past 9 years and also go ahead and appoint young people, knowing that we are extremely able and capable.
What are some challenges that you've faced so far?
We still have a lot of patriarchal expectations within society. So it's hard being a woman. It's harder being a young person. It's extremely hard being single. And these are challenges that we face every single day. And we have to perhaps be 2 or 3 times as better than all our colleagues and our competitors. And so that has been a challenge. Having to prove that what is important is what is from my shoulders and above and not my shoulders and below. And every single day, I meet people that are chauvinistic, that are patriarchal, that are sexist, that are racist, that are difficult, and that expect you to prove yourself over and over and over again. But we have to do it so that the younger women, the younger people, those that are coming behind us, will find it easier to surmount those challenges that we've gone through.
What are some of your routines that you do to kind of, ease the blow and ease your transition into making people think, okay, I can do the job just as good as a man will do it, and I'm very capable of the position that I have been placed in?
It's not as hard anymore because I've been doing it. I've done it, written the postcard and wearing the T-shirt. That I have managed to serve at the Kenya Embassy in Ethiopia. I have served in our permanent mission of Kenya to United Nations, Nairobi. I have served at the Kenya Embassy to Somalia, which I can assure you was extremely challenging, especially looking at the issues that are going on in Somalia with terrorism, with Al-Shabaab, with the attacks that we've been having in Kenya also. So it was one of the most challenging missions. And also there was a religious issue. Somalia is predominantly Muslim. I'm a Christian. But I believe that the president believed I was up to the task. And now in my new posting at the Kenya mission to United Nations Nairobi, a mission I'm looking forward to serving in again, second time around. So this is my 4th posting. I think it's enough to say that we have succeeded. If anybody wanted to know that a woman is capable, now they know. If anybody wanted to know that a young person is capable, they've seen it. So in the last appointments that were made, His Excellency President Kenyatta did appoint a 35-year-old lady as our ambassador. She's serving in Zimbabwe as a High Commissioner. And also a 33-year-old young man as a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure. So you see, it's not just tokenism, where a young person is given a ministry like youth or gender. Infrastructure is key in terms of achieving Vision 2030 and all the goals that that are set. And it's not only in Kenya. I mean, look at the sports minister in South Africa, Fikile Mbalula, and the great work he's doing. In Tanzania, we've just seen in the last election, a 40-year-old ran for president and challenged the status quo. Unfortunately, he did not make it, but he did put up a pretty good fight. Yes. And he's a current minister for environment. And these examples are everywhere in the region. I think what is important is that young people must come out and tell their stories. There have been very many young achievers, but we don't highlight and showcase what it is they've done. These are the stories that will change the narrative. These are the stories that will change the way people feel and think when they think that positions of power or leadership are positions for old people, older women and older men. One of the things that young people don't have is organization, unlike women. Lucky for me, I'm both a young person and a woman, which is a blessing and could also be seen otherwise. But one of the things we did, and we organized ourselves as young people, especially seeing we have a huge number, the largest number ever in the Kenyan parliament of young people members of parliament between the age of 18 and 35. And sitting together, we decided, what can we do for young people? So Honorable Sakaja came up with a bill on procurement, public procurement, stating that 30% of all government procurement must go to young people between the ages of 18 and 35. There are banks and there's a youth fund that is out there to ensure that young people can then access the funding and get support in managing the projects and programs. And please note, when I talk about 30% funding, I'm not saying that the young people come to buy flowers and pens and stationery. It's not tokenism. It is 30%, whether it is the Ministry of Energy, it is 30% whether it's the Ministry of Infrastructure and Transport, whether it is the Ministry of Housing. And so we are seeing young people get opportunities to play in the big league with the big boys and girls. So we need to see more young people coming up to actually take positions of office, to run for office, not to be scared and think that it's a dirty game, that it's a hard game. Because once you're in office, then whoever is in charge has to deal with you. Once you're in parliament, then you have a voice and you can ensure that there's legislation to safeguard the interests of women, young people, people living with disabilities. But you have to be inside.
How do we change the connotation that you need a lot of money in order to run for office?
You don't need money, you need organization. To be in leadership, you just need to think smart. And it starts from the village, it starts from the grassroots. So the first thing is young people must take responsibility of their destiny, of their future, of their country, and sit on the table. You cannot just mobilize votes and be used as security and run around vehicles carrying campaign posters and wearing t-shirts as the poster boys and girls and forget that your vote is the one who's going to put someone else in. So we can't blame anyone else other than ourselves.
There are clauses in the Constitution that say you can't run for setting offices till you're a setting age in the country. I believe it's 35 for a governor. I'm not sure. I would confirm that. But how do we mobilize our youth to ensure that, and our legislator challenge them to ensure that that clause is taken away? And as long as you can vote, you can run for office.
I know that there are many young and progressive people in the Nigerian parliament, in the Senate, and I would hope also at the gubernatorial level, those young people that are in those positions are the people that young people should reach out to, help them draft the bills that will go to parliament. We had the same issue in Kenya, where to run for president one must be 35. But our question was, if I'm old enough to vote, I'm old enough to run for office. And that was changed. But it was changed during our constitutional review process, where we engaged and we read. Young people, sometimes we don't like the hard part. We want microwave solutions where everything is done, ready to eat meal. Yet in Nigeria, I know you guys love pounded yam and eba, so you know the whole procedure of getting real food takes hard work.
It does.
A commitment, and it doesn't happen overnight.
What processes and what procedures can our youth put in place to ensure that Africa reaches its potential, Nigeria reaches its potential, Kenya, Uganda, and all over Africa in general?
Well, first, young people need to realize that the real opportunity is in Africa. The real opportunity is about being African. We are blessed with abundance of natural resources, from oil to gas to diamonds, minerals. And the greatest capacity we have is human capacity and human resource. Once you embrace who you are, where we are, and remember where we have come from, how far we have come from as a region, then we can turn Africa into the kind of continent it should be, and it deserves to be. But it starts with taking responsibility, because old people don't go to war, old people don't carry guns. The people that are the Boko Haram, the Al-Shabaab, from Somalia to Nigeria, the young people that were perpetrating the xenophobic attacks in South Africa, those are young people. That is us. We must take responsibility of our future and participate in politics, and participate on the table, not as hecklers and not as those who put up posters on the streets, but as players, so that our voices will be heard.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for your time.
You're welcome.
That's it for today's episode of The Osasu Show. Please visit our website, www.theosasushow.com, to continue this conversation about youth inclusion in development and governance. Don't forget to follow us on social media at The Osasu Show on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll see you same time, same place next week. And until then, take very good care of yourself.